the trees around you, to, many different shapes and architectural structures of buildings, be it churches, be it pyramids, be it even fruits in nature, or even structures of animal print and any other symbol or object that can be depicted. You see that this very essence of sacred geometry reflects the creation that lies within each and every thing of form in this physical realm. We shall now take an in-depth view at some of the sacred geometry symbols, what they symbolize, what they mean, and the purpose of fully understanding these symbols as we go forward into our creation of God. So in essence, we see that the sacred geometry symbols shows us the interconnectedness of all things, representing our true creation story, not just here on earth in the physical realm, but in the greater cosmos, in the spiritual realm. We see that as we live, so we die, and as above, so we live, as gifted to us by the Hermetic principles of God, which simply explains the blueprint and creation of food. You see, if we look, we see that this essence of our Creator signifies the feminine and masculine dualities that come together to merge together to create and form. And so, as we take an in-depth look at some of these symbols, we will see its true significance in our creation story. So let's take a look at first the seed of life, which is intertwined circles that simply flows into the 7 days of creation. We take another look at our flower of life, which are overlapping circles derived from the seed of life itself that connects us to the interconnectedness of life and shows us our initiatory form of creation. We also have Metatron's cube, which is derived from the flower of life, and of course, in its geometrical shape has 5 platonic solid sides that goes forward and shows us the harmony, protection, and balance of a greater cosmic, should I say, teacher Metatron, to show us that as above in the point of creation, so below. You see, these forms of our sacred geometry signifies cycles of life, signifies all points of creation, and in order for these to be birthed into form, they have to show us these geometrical shapes. So we shall go further into explaining other forms of geometrical shapes that is in essence a reflection of our internal world, and truly shows us that we are not separated from our divine essence or divine order or divine co-creator. We are in fact a replica or replication of this divine essence in the greater cosmos, coming here to experience life in physical form. And so, the sacred geometry symbolism and geometrical shape simply shows us that we are in fact co-creators and are now being initiated and stepping fully into our creative co-creation essence as we transition into one of a divine structure. Another powerful sacred geometry system is the macabre. Now, the macabre is an energetically built structure that connects us multi-dimensionally to our body and spirit. You could say the greater cosmos and the physical. Now, it consists of two tetrahedrons that flows in opposing sides. We have the upper tetrahedron, which usually points up to the greater cosmos, and usually spins towards the masculine side, representing the masculine nature of this electromagnetic field in our cosmos, and connected us to the lower tetrahedron going into the depths of the earth, representing the feminine magnetic nature. Now, we're going to use this divine technology, connecting to, the greater cosmos, but also merging the two between the greater cosmos and the earth for divine creation. You see, we are in our fullest also essence when we begin to encircle ourselves in this macabre energetic field. You see, all is divine as we become many co-creators of our God's essence, and emerging themselves or divine guide here on earth to birth anything into form. So we see the significance of this macabre field here on earth, connecting us to so much, should I say, connecting us to all forms of creation, basically. So, you know, see to it that all of these different symbols in our universe simply represent all points of creation interconnected with life in order to create balance and harmony within thyself and all. Now we shall flow into discussing a very significant sacred geometry symbol, which is called the Vesica Pisces. The Vesica Pisces is two opposing circles, and in the intersection signifies creation. You see, it is seen as the birth portal. It is also called the mother of geometry because other geometrical shapes such as the triangle, the square, and the hexagon can be derived from it. You see, the Vesica Pisces is a true symbolism and definition of the feminine and masculine energies. You see, in that intersection, we have, this womb-like space that signifies divine energy, where anything can be birthed. It represents, birthing into life any point of creation, because we have this merger of the two divine energies coming into one. We also see that the Vesica Pisces depicts a great mathematical depiction, as it is the square root of 3, signifying in numerology the number of creation. You see, if we take this ratio, we can in fact see that the height and the width comes forth together to merge and form the same ratio as the center. So we shall go forward into discussing other geometrical studying this mathematical, geometrical shapes and wondering what the heck am I doing? Maybe yes, if you're in physics, and certain science courses, but if you weren't that in depth into this things, you wonder what the heck does that have to do with anything? But you truly see that we are living in a mathematical equation of our greater cosmos where, everything in the greater cosmos created is indeed mathematical, has this unique geometrical patterns and shapes, and has this, if you study physics and, for physicists, they see that everything reflects this equation. This matrix-like structure being birthed into form is truly mathematical. So we can see connecting this vesicle Pisces geometrical shape. Everything is truly interconnected, and this plays a vital role in our co-creation process. So never doubt, the usage or the true significance of each and every one of the sacred symbols. So another great sacred geometry shape is the torus. The torus is a donut-like geometrical shape that displays great energetic flow that connects us to the interconnectedness of life into greater phenomena. For example, it connects us into other galaxies and dimensions. Example, through a orbit. See, the torus field is, this energetic flow that we can fully tap into our wholesome spiritual essence and connect us into multi-dimensional states of consciousness. Sacred geometry symbols, be it on an energetic level or just on a physical form level, showing us all points of creation. We shall now tap into the hexagon, or what's commonly called the hexagons, where pivotal sacred geometry system that consists of two triangles that pretty much represent polarities and connecting us into like opposing duality points, such as connecting the spiritual and the physical form and the masculine and feminine, which in essence, when they are merged together, brings us into a state of harmony and balance. We can see that there are many examples around us, such as crystals. Many crystal-like structures have this hexagon shape and are being birthed into form. We can also look out into nature and see a honeycomb representing this hexagon geometrical shape. So everything is interconnected. If we see that this great symbol as depicted in many of the other sacred geometry shapes, such as the flower of life or the seed of life, shows us the initiating point of creation. We also have what the square is, this four-sided shape that represents, stability, and it gives us an essence of our physical realm, right? That pretty much puts everything into form. We also have the triangle with these three sides, displaying an essence of interconnectedness of all life. I could symbolize the divine Holy Trinity. And we can see that with this divine Holy Trinity is the fullness of the essence of the God Son's presence all around us. So we see that these patterns that are being formed in everything in creation teaches us about the true creative essence as creators here on earth. And now seeing that, wow, this can give us the answers to so many different questions we have posed over the different eras and since our time. We shall now take a look at a great significant depiction of sacred geometry posed by a great artist and genius called Leonardo da Vinci. The depiction of his Vitruvian painting, although it is a symbolic depiction of sacred geometry of the human body architect and explaining all points of creation so finally, we are to discuss Leonardo da Vinci's great painting of the Vitruvian Man. You see, Leonardo da Vinci was inspired to paint this great painting of the man, signifying the human body architecture from the workings of a man named Vitruvius in the first BC era, where he held the philosophy that, the human architectural body can fit perfectly into a circle with the arms outstretched, whereby if you use a compass, it could, reflect the symbol of a circle, and also with outstretched arms and the height connecting the circle and the square. You see, this is very significant in just explaining the human anatomy as forms of creation. So the great genius and artist Leonardo da Vinci in 1508 BC decided, wow, I'm going to continue on this great work to study this great principle of the human anatomy in this painting. And of course, he drew a big picture of a man with his arms outstretched and legs outstretched to depict this great philosophical view of Vitruvius, a great engineer and architect during his time that helped create this geometrical representation when in Roman times they built great architecture buildings, such as temples and churches and you name it. But Leonardo da Vinci was wanting to solve this issue to say, wow, the human body architect is a reflection of our greater universe, connecting it with this circle square geometrical principle to see, wow, we are truly a microcosm of the universe with all that gratitude for Leonardo da Vinci uncovering this great creation example of the human mathematically as a point of creation, and that we are so here we see that so many different examples of what sacred geometry system has led us back to the point of creation. Wow, we are truly a replica of divine order, and we are all have access to the divine creation by simply using this sacred geometry system. The possibilities are endless with the co-creation cycle. So let's all tap fully and try to fully understand the significance of sacred geometry, the significance of even just geometry and math as a study in our educational systems, the study of art and science and physics, and teaching us fully like, wow, these hold the great blueprints of the universe. These hold the great architect of creating form and connecting us here on earth in form to the greater cosmos.